Before you risk another dollar in DeFi, do you actually have a plan? I'm Kevin, a father, a builder, and a full time DeFi investor. And here at Dad's DeFi Space, I show the process behind all my strategies. And I have built a free DeFi course to help others get started. Check out all our free educational materials in the links below. But let's get to today's video. If I had to start over in 2026 with just $10,000 and zero time to micromanage any of my DeFi portfolio, this is one of the DeFi strategies I would consider using. Of course, nothing in this video is financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Please do your own research and never invest more than you can afford to lose. But today, we're going to be talking about passive income. We're not chart watching. We're not following different protocols and worrying about impermanent loss. We're talking about earning yield on our crypto without the stress. And today we're going to use Beefy Finance, a protocol that I have trusted in the past to automate all of my DeFi investments. In fact, Beefy was one of the first protocols I began to use during the early days of my DeFi journey. So, whether you're a DeFi dad like me, a base creator, or a DAO strategist, or you're just tired of manual farming, this video is going to walk you through the vaults, the risk, and strategies I would consider using as of right now. Let's dive deeper. Let's start with the basics to understand Beefy. Beefy Finance is a decentralized multi chain yield optimizer, and it means that you can earn more yield on your crypto by using their vaults and letting it automatically compound the rewards from DeFi protocols such as Aave, Curve, GMX, Balancer, Aerodrome, Velodrome, and so many more out there. Instead of manually claiming rewards, swapping tokens, restaking, moving to different wallets, Beefy does absolutely all of this for you. Now, some of the key features with Beefy Finance happen to be auto harvesting vaults, and auto compounding rewards. Beefy is non custodial, which means you keep control of all your funds. There's no lockup time. You may withdraw out of their vaults at any time. And some vaults are rewarded with Beefy tokens, which gives you governance rights and revenue share with the protocol. Also, it includes an explanation and safety scoring system so you can understand the risk of each vault and how the vault strategy works. Before you begin using a protocol like Beefy, you have to research the vault strategy. Some are more conservative and some are more risky than others. Honestly, Beefy Finance is more like a robo advisor, but this is for yield farmers, except you don't need to trust a fund manager. The returns are usually higher when auto compounding, but impermanent loss can also be more so be careful out there. So why does this truly matter? Especially for dads and people with day jobs and families, because DeFi is time consuming. Beefy can reduce that just to a few clicks, no manual harvesting, no bridging nightmares, just passive exposure to yield with smart contract protection and transparency. In short, Beefy saves us time, lowers risk, and lets us participate in an ecosystem without going full degen. Now, before we jump into strategy on Beefy, let's clear up some common DeFi confusion in this space. What is the difference between vaults and LPs? Well, when you become a liquidity provider, you're providing capital to a trading pair like USDC or Bitcoin USDC. Traders are the traders, which we do, and probably some of you out there do too. And if you're the liquidity provider, you are the maker. Every time someone swaps tokens, you're going to earn a share of the fees. And in the crypto space, the real long term winners, in our humble opinion, are the makers. But remember, if two tokens move and price differently, you will get hit with an impermanent loss. This is temporary in nature, but this is something a DeFi investor should be concerned about. This is something we must navigate and manage. And Beefy does this for you with different levels of complexity and strategy. And look, there's a warning. Make sure you really understand the risk of a vault before applying any capital to it. Now, Beefy's vaults take your LP positions, harvest the rewards, swap them, reinvest those automatically into the liquidity pool. So instead of manually compounding and tracking the charts and the positions, Beefy does all that behind the scenes through smart contracts. In short, LPs make yield, and Beefy bots compound all that yield passively. So, for this part of the video, I wanted to look at a model portfolio if I was going to invest $10,000 into Beefy vaults. Of course, I'm trying to create a conservative to moderately conservative portfolio allocation strategy. So, for example, 30% of our entire capital would be placed into low risk positions. A vault type would probably be a stablecoin vault, such as a USDC Aave strategy, a Stargate USDT strategy, maybe a Pendle PT vault. This would be to preserve capital and get a steady base APY, probably around 5 to 10% APY. Another 40% or $4,000 of our portfolio would be dedicated to moderate blue chip positions such as ETH on Balancer, a BTC USDC on Beefy, maybe even a correlated pair such as Bitcoin Ethereum. But we would be investing in assets that we want to hold for the long term. For me, that would be Bitcoin and Ethereum, and during the bull, maybe a few others. Now, with the remaining 30% would be split between high risk and speculative risk vaults. For example, maybe some volatile LPs for the high risk tier, such as a GMX leveraged ETH, an OP ETH, maybe a ETH paired with a utility token such as Arrow on Base or Cake on Pancake Swap, or maybe even a wrapped ETH Aave position, especially since Aave is moving to offering some of the protocol fees to holders, which is a bullish use case for a utility token. Now, with the remaining 10%, I may invest in some more speculative plays. These are Beefy Maxi vaults, boosted vaults that are getting rewards, or possibly farming some smaller cap tokens or meme coins. This lets us get a little bit of upside in our Beefy portfolio. And if it is a Beefy Maxi position, we will get some Beefy tokens that can give us some governance and protocol rights. So this gives us base level yield and exposure to blue chip assets such as Bitcoin, ETH, etc. And we even have some speculative assets on the side without having to manage 10 plus dApps manually, which is not fun. Let dad tell you. So now we're going to talk about how you can use Beefy Finance. You're going to start on the Beefy Finance page. You can see that there are just over 1,000 vaults, $144 million locked, a weekly yield of $231,000, and a good amount of weekly revenue. Now, we're looking at a lot of stablecoin positions, and we're going to clear. The greatest thing is that you can filter by chain, whether the vault is boosted. We can look at single-sided liquidity pools, LPs, and CLM, which are the Beefy concentrated positions that are automated. Some will have points and rewards. One vault I want to take a look at today. Now, to start on Beefy Finance, you're going to want to filter vaults by chain, token, and type. So to filter out different tokens, you can click up here and select all or just the ones that you would like. For today's example, we're going to strictly look at the base network, and we're going to add correlated pairs. As you can see, there's like pairs and ETH pairs, and the APYs are going to be much lower. Now, understand the difference between APR and APY. APR is without yearly compounding, where APY is compounding. So APY tends to give you a number that is much higher and looks better, which is a good marketing ploy for many DeFi protocols. Now we're going to go into blue chip pairs on base. You can see wrapped ETH Morpho, wrapped ETH USDT, and USDC positions. Aave wrapped ETH, a great correlated pair at times. But for today, we're going to look at some vaults that I saved that I thought would be interesting. First and foremost is this Zora wrapped ETH position because I am in one very similar to this. This is what the interface looks like on Beefy. You need to look at the total value locked. You're going to see how much value locked in the Beefy vault, and then also what is locked in the liquidity pool. The higher those numbers are, the better. That means there's more liquidity for that position. This one is extremely low, so you must have a small amount of capital if you were going to go into this Zora position. Next, you can go down to the bottom and check risk. You want to have the least amount of risk as possible and make sure that you read through the strategy and the APY breakdown on Beefy. It will explain the product, how the vault functions, and what the expected APY is. This is very much like documents that ETFs have to produce, letting you know how it is managed. So to now, I wanted to show you how you can add into one of these positions, but specifically, I wanted to look at a stable coin pool. There were two in particular that I saved from last night, and that is a Morpho EUSD position, and then also a USDC USDC LP, earning about 6 and 9% respectively. Now, we're going to look at this EUSD position on Morpho that's earning around 9% AP. Strategy of this vault is depositing EUSDT USD into Morpho and is farming for more. The earn EUSD is then deposited back into that farm and then obviously minus the transaction costs. Now, it's giving some risk, but not as many as that Zora position. The total value locked is over $1 million, which is awesome. That means this Beefy position is being utilized a lot. What I'm going to do is show you how I would deposit into a position like this. First, you need to make sure that you connect your wallet, which is real simple. Hit connect wallet. I'm going to use my Rabby. It's now connected. This is the Dad's DeFi Space wallet. And then I'm going to take a little bit of my USD, $100, just to show you how to do this. Now, Beefy uses Kyber swap usually to perform these swaps. There can be slippage, so please pay attention to the transaction before you finalize anything. I'm going to click deposit. Network is switching to base, and we're going to sign and confirm the transaction. The transaction was created, deposit is confirmed, and they give you the option to share that position if you would like. Now, either once a week to once a month, I will check my vaults. Now, look at the APY, historical rate, and price within Beefy Finance. That allows me to see how my deposit is performing within that vault in comparison, as you can see on this chart. And usually I look at different vaults, look for boosts, and if I need to rotate anything, I try to rotate as least as possible, but I look at that about once a month. Now, understand that no DeFi protocol is risk free, and there are certain risks you will take going into a Beefy vault. First and foremost is going to be smart contract. Earn EUSD is then deposited back into that farm and then obviously minus the transaction costs. Now, it's giving some risk, but not as many as that Zora position. The total value locked is over $1 million, which is awesome. That means this Beefy position is being utilized a lot. What I'm going to do is show you how I would deposit into a position like this. First, you need to make sure that you connect your wallet, which is real simple. Hit connect wallet. I'm going to use my Rabby. It's now connected. This is the Dad's DeFi Space wallet. And then I'm going to take a little bit of my USD, $100, just to show you how to do this. Now, Beefy uses Kyber swap usually to perform these swaps. There can be slippage, so please pay attention to the transaction before you finalize anything. I'm going to click deposit. Network is switching to base, and we're going to sign and confirm the transaction. The transaction was created, deposit is confirmed, And they give you the option to share that position if you would like. Now, either once a week to once a month, I will check my vaults. I'll look at the APY, historical rate, and price within Beefy Finance. That allows me to see how my deposit is performing within that vault in comparison, as you can see on this chart. And usually I look at different vaults, look for boosts, and if I need to rotate anything, I try to rotate as least as possible, but I look at that about once a month. Now, understand that no DeFi protocol is risk free, and there are certain risks you will take going into a Beefy vault. First and foremost is going to be smart contract risk. Now, understand that the main risk that you are going to be involved with a Beefy vault is smart contract exploits. Make sure that the vaults are audited. It's going to let you know the SAFU rating on each vault. Understand that some vaults will suffer impermanent loss. Please keep that in mind, especially with LP vaults. There is protocol risk, obviously. So the smart contract could be exploited. There could be third-party sources used like GMX could be exploited. So you are adding smart contract risk on top of smart contract risk. That is something to consider. And then look at total value lock risk. Avoid bots with low liquidity, especially if you're using more capital. Also, there can be market risks. Yield can affect token price, volume, etc. And that can also affect vault principle and performance. Remember, not all risk is bad. It just has to be managed. And that is why I spread my capital across different LPs, vaults, loans, and even base content. That's why it's also good to always have dry powder or keep a stable coin buffer. Now, the real reason I love this setup is it earns while I sleep, it compounds while I work, and it doesn't ask me to farm manually every Sunday night. Look, anyone who wants to build passive income in this space without becoming a full-time yield chaser, this could be a great starting point. So let me know in the comments what kind of vault strategies you are starting with on Beefy or other protocols out there. Drop it in the comments. I'm always hunting for new ideas. Let me know if there's any protocols or utility tokens or anything at all that you would like me to create content about. And if this video helped clarify Beefy Vaults, LPs, and how to build a truly passive DeFi income portfolio, smash that like button and subscribe. Check out our next videos coming out soon, where I'm going to walk through different vault strategies, Pendle PTs, when to rotate out for maximum yield, because this is dad and DeFi, real strategies for real life. So remember, if this was helpful, there's more than where that came from. So join our free Telegram group. Find us over on Zora at Dad's DeFi Space. Start the free DeFi course and check all that out at dadsdefispace.org. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace.